Peace to all of the kings and queens that's out there. It is your brother, the 13th letter to the cipher, back at you this Friday with more informative information for all of the fans and the viewers and the supporters that's out there. I hope this Friday is a good one for you. And by the way, happy spring, happy fertility, not Easter, happy fertility. We'll get off on that later on sometime, but I do want to thank you all for watching and sharing the information that you have been sharing with friends, relatives, your children, and neighbors. I thank you all for that. How you all doing? Yeah, today is a Friday. You know, it's a laid back day. You know, I hope you all are getting together for this weekend. And I hope you all are still maintaining those goals that you have for yourself, for the upliftment of yourself, for your family, for your children, for your neighbors, for your neighborhood, and for your community. I'm going to go straight in today. Today is going to be a busy day, so to say. I got some things to do, got to move around. I'm going to so the furthermost part of Wisconsin, and I'm going to be in Minnesota and all of that good stuff over the weekend. So I just wanted to give you all something during this Friday, because on the weekend you won't see me, okay? But uh, today's mathematics is jail, prison, and Egyptian mythology 101. That's right. And I speak about jail and prison because jail and prison is very important. There's a sister by the name of Mary Hooks who resides in St. Louis, and she is currently fighting for the liberation of Black men and Black women in St. Louis, Missouri, and she's standing up against a very powerful criminal justice system for these Black men and women who cannot post bail. Yeah, there's no M bond like in Chicago. We have the I bonds. This is a cash bail, no 10% cash bail. So it's like you are in jail awaiting trial, no conviction, yet you're in jail. Loss of employment, destruction of family, because you cannot afford to pay bail. To me, it sounds like some 16th, 17th, slavery situation, whereas the slave cannot purchase his or her freedom from the slave master. Nationally, on an average, the waiting time for an inmate to see a judge is 68 days. We're not going to even talk about all of those gun cases and dope cases, that they put on young Black men and young Black women. A prime example of this would be the criminal justice system there in Alabama, whereas they allow the prosecutors, the whole criminal justice system allowed white law enforcement to put drugs and guns on young Black men for 20 years. And sadly, the Black people that live in that state did not have sense enough to get together and try to come up with a solution for this, because they've been maladjusted. Okay, and if it wasn't for this sister Mary Hooks in St. Louis, she is really a true goddess and warrior for Black people in America. And if you're not familiar with her, I advise you to highly get familiar with this lady, or highly involve yourself with something for the upliftment of Black people, even if it's just something for yourself that you can share with people. Okay? And like I say, these white law enforcement people got away with this stuff for 20 years. For 20 years. Now, we know that white cops put drugs and guns on Black people. We already know that. But for 20 years, but for 20 years, that shows you the capacity, mentality of the black people in that state. I'm just saying. Now, if you think I'm crazy or paranoid, you just keep living, okay? So if you live in Illinois and you're going to jail for stupid shit, and you think that you got it bad, others have it worse. One state south of you. Stop going to jail. Stop going to prison. Jail and prison equals slavery, equals birth control, equals annihilation, equals voter suppression. Even though your vote really don't count, but it does with a popularity contest. And that's about all that it accounts for. I just had to throw that out there. But in addition to what I was saying, you have uh, white bail versus black bail. And black bail seems to be like $10,000 more than white bail on the average. And we as black people know that we cannot afford that. So please, by all means, stay out of jail, stay out of St. Louis, stay out of Alabama. I'm just saying, do not relocate to these states. I've traveled to 43 of them, and I've lived in over 12 of them, not to mention the countries that I've been to and the one that I've lived in for a year. I'm just saying, that's if you think that I don't know what I'm talking about. So if you think that you know what you're talking about, how many states have you been to? How many states have you lived in? How many countries have you been to or lived in? So I'm just saying, not to mention other personal experiences that maybe one day we'll get off into a whole nother later date or what have you. I mean, they got it so bad whereas you can't even like defend yourself against Caucasians. Most of you all are scared any fucking way. It's your choice. You either live in fear or you live in courage. It's your choice. Mary Hooks, the goddess Mary Hooks, chose courage. Which one do you choose? You make your choice and you tell us where do you stand as an individual. Okay? Think about that. Think about how many relatives that you have in jail or in prison, especially the man. Now we know that without no man, let me turn this television down. Okay. Yeah, I got some old school music going on, okay? Yeah, but you think about that. You think about when the person goes to jail or prison and how it affects the family of the black man and of the black woman. It totally destroys them. Loss of job, loss of family, loss of money, loss of dignity. Now, I'm not saying that black folk do not commit crime. I'm not saying that because where there's poverty, there is crime. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but if you do just so happen to go to jail, don't go for no dumb shit. And if you go for some money, let it be about big money and let that little money walk. If you're going to go to prison, let it be for a worthwhile cause. Stop going to jail for dumb shit. The white man say, okay, black man is free. Okay. And even through the Jim Crow laws and damn, I forgot that other law that they had. Whereas if you didn't have a job and you was a black man, they put you in jail. We are not too far off from those days, you all, again. So please, by all means, wake the fuck up, black man, black woman. Please, we have children to feed mentally out here. Your experience is worthwhile knowing and having. And this is another reason why when you go to prison or go to jail, white America shuts you out. They shut you out because you know the game now. But you can't teach the game according to them with their system until a couple of years after. And sometimes it's maybe 7 years, maybe 5 years before you can ever get your foot back into the door. Well, sometimes it's never, depending upon how many times you've been to prison, what your background is like, what your record is like. And if you do have a record, try to find out if you can get some of that stuff expunged. Some things can't be expunged. We understand that, but if it can be, make it happen. After all, we are, if you're dealing in their system, that is, you know. I was thinking about the Nation of Islam and where they are at in regards to being with this sister Mary Hooks. But then again, I forgot they are a part of the system and under Louis Farrakhan. But I can't take nothing away from the minister from that which he taught me, but he has deviated. He has deviated and he is older now. So, as I say, the minister didn't cash out. I mean, he didn't sell out. He cashed out. He didn't sell out. He cashed out. Sad. Sad. So now it's up to us, as it has always been up to us to remove ourselves from the current situation that we are presently in. And if we don't, I promise you, as I always told you, and as Marcus Mosiah Garvey always told you, and Elijah Muhammad, and Drew Ali, we will fucking die. But you all think it's a joke. You don't see the importance of what I'm talking about. And if you do, please pass along the information so that others can know, because this is outrageous, you all. It's just simply outrageous. So if you're going to jail, man, stop going to jail. Stop going to prison. Stop supporting these white law enforcement families, because white law enforcement has a way of stop feeding your family. Do you understand what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm going to move on to the next subject at hand. And the next subject at hand is about Egyptian mythology. And for some reason, I just wanted to get upon this because you have a lot of brothers that's moving on to higher learning. And some people that I know are actually studying Egyptology, but they're studying it under some influences that maybe they shouldn't. And I try to point these facts out to them, but other people have also pointed these facts out. And I've even told them to, to check these other people out, and I also pass along their knowledge that they've given to me, and I've given it to them. And that's after I've done my own research. And the knowledge that I've received from other people, or from other people, whether it be books or verbal. I've received vast jewels from other people, especially the master teachers, okay? And you can't argue with them. You just can't. But in Egyptian philosophy, you will find that that's where the true Trinity began, as the Europeans, or shall I say the Greeks, call it. In Egyptian philosophy, we have as the Greeks call it, Isis and Osiris, but in Kemetic language, meaning Egyptian that the Greeks renamed Kemet. They renamed Kemet from Egypt. So white people named Egypt, and not black people. Black people named for Egypt is Kemet, okay? I think I've told you that a couple of times before. So you all should be familiar with the vocabulary that I'm using in regards to the geographical area and our historical facts. So this is where the first Trinity began with Asar, Aset, and Heru, as the Greeks or white people call it, Isis, Osiris, and Horus. Okay, but this is where the Holy Trinity began, and it began with black people and not white people. Okay, if you go to Washington D.C. and you look at the Washington Monument, you will see an obelisk, right? That obelisk, believe it or not, represents Asar, whose name later was changed by the Greeks to Osiris. And that obelisk, obelisk, I have a problem with that word, obviously. And that obelisk represents none other than the resurrection of Asar. And this resurrection story or myth is over 6,000 years old. Before white people even came upon the scene, before there even was a fake Jesus, there was the obelisk representing Asar, who is the founder, who is the founder of Kemet, who is the founder and the first king of Kemet. And his queen, Aset, was the first queen, and their son, Heru, you understand, the first royal generation. But in Kemet, which is the education center for all civilization, Asar was killed by his brother. He was mutilated and he was actually cut into 14 pieces. Aset, who is not only his wife, but also his sister as well, found 13 parts of his body spread across the Nile River. And what she did, she actually reconstructed those 13 pieces of his body, and every piece was found except for his phallus. Okay. And she mummified that body and became the first mummification of bodies. That's right. Aset is the first person who ever mummified a body. And no, the Arabs didn't do it first. The Arabs got it from us. So Islam has nothing to do with it. And according to the story that's found in the Book of the Dead, also known as the Book of the Coming Forth by Day, Aset, who after buried her husband, ended up being impregnated from the spirit of her husband. And you have to keep in mind that Aset was a virgin. You see that? Do you see that? Do you see that? Do you see the Joseph, the Mary, and the Jesus from the Asar, the Aset, and the Heru? And even after she was impregnated with Heru, according to our information and the material, she too had to flee. Okay, because his brother was looking to kill the baby, just as King Herod was looking to kill the baby Jesus, according to your Bible. Yeah, this is where the first Trinity comes from. So I don't care what school of thought you're from. If you're going to go with the school of thought, why not go from the original school of thought versus something that came afterwards. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to get the truth from some Egyptologists, because most Egyptologies are Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, and they're not going to tell you the truth anyway. They're going to tell you what's beneficial for them and not for you. So you will end up worshiping them as always versus worshiping your own self, which it really came from. Okay. And in addition to what I just said, did you know, according to the story, that Heru was also born on December 25th? That's right. Yes, he was born on December 25th. Our history as black men and black women, or shall I say, this story of what I'm saying, the importance of the story and what I'm telling you can be found throughout the world. You understand me? This obelisk, these obelisks can be found in Paris. They can be found in London. They can be found in Istanbul. They can be found in DC. They can be found in New York, in Central Park. That's how much of an importance this obelisk is to our history, but not only to our history, to their history as well. You know, like when you go to Vatican City and you in Rome and you see all of these people surrounding the obelisk, awaiting their Jesus Christ figure to speak, meaning the Pope, because the Pope understands the significance of the symbol. He understands the divinity and culture of our greatness, which is right in front of our eyes, but sadly, many of us don't understand it. Why do you think that the Pope sits at the feet of the Black Madonna? You think about that. Just as Mary had to run from Jerusalem with child from Herod the king, as I stated, so did Aset had to flee from Set, which was her brother-in-law. I'm just saying, this is the story of how it all began, and it really just gives you in regards to the Trinity, of how the Trinity began. Because there's other stories involved that gives you another Adam story as well. That's in um, Egyptian mythology as well. But this is where it all stems from. Mhm. Now you can't forget about, in this Egyptian mythology, like I said, you have Asar, Aset, and Heru. But you can't forget about Nut, who is the goddess of the sky and the heavens, who is also the daughter of Shu, who is the god of vital breath, and his wife is Tefnut. Okay, so you got Nut, Shu, and Tefnut. Okay, and remember, Nut is the daughter of Shu and Tefnut. Okay, and Shu is the god of that which we breathe. You understand what I'm saying? Um, then you have Tefnut, who is the goddess of heat. And then you have Ma'at, who is the goddess of balance, power, justice. She is an image that we see as having falcon wings, a black woman having falcon wings, whether they sometimes be closed and enfold, and sometimes they be open as scales representing balance, power, justice, authority. Just as you have the woman with the balances in her hand in astrology, aka the Libra. But Ma'at is the balancer and the goddess of the universe that brings about that balance. Okay. Um, then you have Ptah, who is the demigod of Memphis, um, god of masonry, and an architect. Ptah is the husband of Sekhmet and the father of uh, Nefertum and Imhotep. That's right. Now, think about that. Now, Imhotep. Now, Ptah is Imhotep's dad. Okay. And Imhotep was the first multi-genius, the first black multi-genius, aka the father of medicine, period. Not white people, black people. Imhotep. Okay. And he is the son of Ptah. And Ptah is the goddess, the god of Memphis, and the god of masonry and architect. Okay. Last but not least, you have Ra, the sun god, the god of all gods. Okay. He's just like Zeus in Greek mythology. Okay. But this is Ra, the god of all gods, the creator of everything. And Ra had a daughter by Nut, which is his granddaughter, and her name was Hathor. And she was the goddess of love, just as Aphrodite was the goddess of love, and what's the other name? Venus. Okay. But this is where you get this from. Greek mythology is really Egyptian mythology with some names twisted and some faces twisted. Okay. From black to white. It's just that simple. And if you study in Egyptology under Jewish authority, you would never still know the whole truth. Study the master teachers if you want to know about true Egyptology. And then, of course, you have to make your journey to Kemet. That should be the true Hajj. That should be the true Hajj. Not to Mecca, silly people. The true Hajj should be to Kemet, because that is where the birth, or shall I say the cradle of civilization. That's where the world came to learn. They didn't come to learn in Mecca. I just don't understand you silly people. Now, I'll get off into that in a minute. But like I say, we do have Ra, but you also have Geb, okay? And Geb is the god of the earth. And that's basically your gods in Egyptian mythology 101 that you would need to focus on and familiarize yourself with, and that which they done and that which they do. You need to read the book for yourself. Study to show thyself approved. Read for yourself. See for yourself. Think for yourself. There are many scholars that I respect. There are many scholars that I respect, and there are many scholars that I've battled with. But in the process of learning from scholars who know more than I do, I find that they too make mistakes, and I catch them. So always study to show thyself approved, and don't hate your brother. Don't hate your brother for correcting you, or don't hate your brother for knowing more than what you know. There are plenty brothers who know more than what I know, and I don't hate them. I admire them for the work that they put in regards to studying, because that takes a lot of discipline. That takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of discipline. So please, by all means, people, if you see a scholar out there, by all means, don't be disrespectful. We all have our flaws. We all have our views. But in those flaws and views, we should also have truth that we can come and see at a midpoint, because truth don't have to be verified by ignorance. I'm just saying. What else? I mentioned Gail. I mentioned Tim. But yeah, but you have these other brothers and sisters that talk about taking a Hajj to Mecca. Mecca is not your home. Mecca is the home of the Arabs, and you, my friends, are not Arabs. People ask me, why did I leave the Nation of Islam? There's so much that I've learned while in the Nation of Islam that it actually led me out, okay? And I use the wisdom from Elijah Muhammad, okay? Even Elijah Muhammad said if he goes astray or leave that path, you're supposed to leave too. But he told you to study history because history is the best qualifier for all research. And when you begin to study history, you will find that you should not be making that Hajj to Mecca. I've lost many brothers and sisters in regards to um, my level of imbuement, so to say, that I've gotten, you know what I'm saying, just from researching. You know, when that light bulb comes on, you can no longer be a slave. If you choose to be a slave after that light bulb has came on, that's because you chose to be a slave. You chose to be misled. But the creatorness in you told you that, you know, it's just like a kid in school that I told you about a couple of days ago, and how some students are actually, the children are smarter than their parents, because these students or these children can actually pinpoint what's wrong fundamentally or academically, but they know something wrong. And if you study anything other besides the Hadith, the Quran, and all of that Islamic nonsense, then you too will wake up and you will see where your greatness comes from. Even though you know that you are black, and it's an automatic fact that if you are black, nine times out of 10, you migrated somewhere from a Kublon besides being brought over here in chains, okay? I'm just saying, we were all over the planet. We were all over the planet, and Islam was not a form of our religion. They use Islam to enslave us, just as they use Christianity to enslave us, just as they use all religions to oppress and enslave people in the name of God. I'm just saying. So with that, you all, I want you to get a grip and think about that which I'm telling you. And I hope that you all do some research and stay out of jail. We need you out here. These children need you out here. Your girl needs you out here. Just think about it. You're a guy and you go to jail. You know, what's the first thing you think about? Besides your court date and the judge and what time you're going to get. You're thinking about who banging your chick, right? Who's banging your chick. It could be your best friend. It could be your next door neighbor. It can be the postman. It can be the milkman. But those thoughts do occur in your mind, okay? And I don't want to hear that they don't, because they do. But you must remember one thing, black man and black woman. But I'm talking to the black man right now, since we're talking about his woman banging somebody else. We have to stay away from situations that will allow us to be locked up if it's not for an uplifting cause. Because when it's up for uplifting cause, most of the time it gets dismissed anyway, or it gets dropped down to a misdemeanor, because they know that their criminal justice system and social system is pretty much fucked. It's just how you go about educating yourself and exercising that education so that it manifests for the upliftment for all people, especially black people. You think about that. See, there's no prejudiceness here. We could not have been prejudiced in the first fucking place, because after years of banning your ass, we finally let you in, and you see what happens? We educated you. You didn't educate us. We educated you. And then you turned around, put us in chains, beat us, raped us, lynched us. You did that shit. And then say that we are barbaric, decriminalizing yourself and criminalizing the black man. If there's anything that I have said that you like or that you can use and apply to your life, please, by all means, I need you to press that subscribe button and like button. Stay away from the po-po. Don't drink and drive. Have some love, truth, honor, and respect for yourself. And I hope that you all have a magnificent weekend. All right. It's your brother 13 letter to the cipher. I thought I ended it.